Now, there are some thinkers from East and West, from Islamic thought and from China. They are quite separate in time and space. They didn't know each other, and there is no possibility of influence, but they are so close in spirit, in content, that it's really unimaginable. If you want to give an example, perhaps one of the best examples, I have many examples, but one of the best examples is the Arabian laws. If you were to condense the whole of the Arabic in a small volume and summarize that volume in a very smaller volume, it would be almost something like if you were to expand Lao Tse and elaborate it, and again elaborate it more and more, it would become something about, I will not say exactly, but it would be very close. They didn't know each other. They were about 17 centuries apart. One was living, one was from Andalusia, from Islamic Spain, and the other was from China. And there was no possibility, one is speaking Arabic and Chinese, neither in Arabic, no Chinese, no Lao Tse, no Arabic. So there is no possibility a historicist might find some place of influence. No, there is no possibility. But they're so, look at the Lao Tse begins. Tao, which can be named, is not Tao. Is the gist of Ibn Arabi. Is the gist of Ibn Arabi. So his discussion in Arabi is discussion of perfect man, of Ahadiyya and Wahidiyya, how from the Lao, that is from, let's say, Tao without name, there comes name Tao and 10,000 things, multiplicity and unity, perfect man, the idea of names and attributes, and many, many other things, especially perfect man. They're very, very close. So we ask for our next speaker, Professor Osman Nuri Küçük, Associate Professor from School of Theology from University, is talking about features of ideal human being according to our soul and perfect human being in Islamic according to
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Türk, for this meeting. It's very important for two cultures, Islam and Chinese civilization. My paper is related to perfect man. In Lao Tzu, Taoism, and in Sufi thought, especially in Ibn Arabi and Rumi, and another Sufi thinker, Yunus Emre, a Turkish Sufi thinker. For Sufi thought, which places the human and human experience in a central position, the Insan, human, has been one of the most important subjects since the early periods. The comparison of Taoist thought with those of Sufi tradition on İnsan-ı is very interesting in the similarities exhibited, although these traditions don't have any significant historical or geographical connections. Sufi tradition sees itself bound by Quran and Sunnah, prophetic tradition, which are the references of Islam. On the other hand, Sufi tradition includes many traits of the common human wisdom, that is the eternal wisdom or ancient wisdom, when talking about the Insan. The similarities in the approaches of Sufism and mystical tendencies is the fundamental factor that creates the wisdom, that creates what is called the perennial philosophy. It will be beneficial to expand on this fundamental feature that creates the similarity between mysticism and Sufism. Psychologists who think like Jung describe the mystical experience as the direct experience of the sacred. For this reason, religions have more in common in their mystical aspects compared to their outer face that is formed of rules and regulations. This is because this face leans upon the feeling and experience felt by humans rather than the presumption, dogma, or a comment. Hence, we can say that a human partnership which is established departing from the mystical aspects of religions, will cover a larger ground. In our view, one of the fundamental reasons of similarity between the perception of Sufism and mystical approaches of the universe and things is that their vision of the truth as a whole, spreading through the existence and life, and their evolution of the truth on multiple levels. With this view, mystical approaches and Sufism assume that everything in existence has a piece and trace of the truth. Sufi thinkers like Ghazali and Mevlana draw attention to this with the parable of people who had never seen an elephant in their lives, having to recognize it in the dark. Each described it according to their positions. All of them are right, in that they describe one facet of the truth, with their own perception and experience. But none of these approaches can encompass the truth as a whole. A poem by Abu Median al-Maghribi, the master of Ibn Arabi and other Sufis of Andalusia, expresses this very briefly in Arabic poem. لا تنكروا الباطل في طوره فإنه من بعد ظهوراته. Don't think of battle as unnecessary in its manifestation, for it corresponds to part of the manifestation of the truth. The approach mentioned here doesn't speak about a libertarianism that denies the rights and wrongs, halal and harams in the social life of a Sufi. It points out that everything comes to existence according to a justified wisdom of existence. And if it was not so, it wouldn't have come to existence in the first place. In this respect, an Arif, while living a lawful life, is more in peace with everything in life compared to a pious person who perceives religion as a set of rules in a superficial fashion. Upon seeing a piece of the truth, he doesn't alienate anything he loves the created to the creature. He almost becomes a human belonging to the creation. İnsan-ı Kamil, qualities in the Taoism and Ibn Arabi. The ideal woman, perfect woman, and İnsan-ı Kamil, according to Taoism, has superior qualities, for he is the manifestation of the way. It means Tao. Hence, everything that is told about the way in Taoism is also about the ideal woman. Everything that is about the ideal woman is also about the way. All Chinese refer to Taoism as, how can we say, Tian Tao, way of the sky, and compare it to Yan Tao, way of woman. In this respect, everything in Taoism is related to the idea of ideal woman. Like that, in Ibn Arabi thinking, the thought that the woman is created in the image of Allah in the Sufi thought is founded on the nearness of woman and heavens. The term İnsan-ı Kamil is used in relation with a lot of terms in the terminology of Ibn Arabi, who had used the term for the first time. Let us now investigate into the relationships between the attributes of İnsan-ı Kamil in Taoism and Sufi thought, with the perspective of Sufi philosophers, Ibn Arabi and Rumi. The first one, the fundamental quality of the ideal woman in Taoism is that he disappeared in the way, in Tao, and became one with it. If one experiences annihilation in a spiritual ecstasy, having nothing left from his existence, and reaches the light, experiences that there is no difference between himself and the way. This, according to Taoism, is the sign of the birth of an ideal woman. Lao Tzu calls this stage embracing the one, Tao. He says, Sacred woman embraces the one and hence becomes the creation of everything under the heaven. Lao Tzu, the name of the person who is thought to have founded Taoism, is a title in the meaning old sage, philosopher, or old master. Like that, in Rumi, Pir, Sheikh, the same meaning. According to Mevlana, the final stage that a disciple following the path of Sufism would be fena. It means annihilation or istighraq. Rumi says, Hak has told him, I am your tongue and your eye, I am your feeling, I am your grace and breath. It refers a Hadith Qudsi. Oh, who is exalted? You are me and I am you. Lao Tzu says about the quality of the İnsan-ı, Insani, perfect man who controls his ego and prevents its rebellion, embraces the one and never separates from him ever again. According to Mevlana, the major quality of the state of fena is the consciousness of oneness that the sage experiences in this state. Rumi says in this subject, I totally became it by which everyone sways. Whatever is in the inside leads to the outside. The similarity between the annihilation of İnsan-ı in God in Sufism and the annihilation of the ideal woman in Taoism also exists between the solutions offered by masters as to how the ego will be destroyed to attain such a state. Chuang Tzu offers the following explanation about the paradoxical state of İnsan-ı. Sacred woman has the physical appearance of a woman, but he doesn't have human feelings. He lives among the ordinary people as if he is one of them, thanks to his outer appearance, but because he doesn't have human feelings. Judgments like good, bad, right, wrong, pleasant, non-pleasant don't reach him. What kind of state is it to have no feelings? İnsan-ı having no feelings means the following is in Taoism. Not to be affected by things that are pleasant or non-pleasant to one's ego, and the adaptation of oneself to the fact that everything is happening by itself. This kind of person preserves his fundamental state no matter what happens in front of his eyes, because he is one with the creation in the inner meaning, and the creation itself is one. Layman, on the other hand, run from one place to another before everything then changes constantly. However, the sacred woman appears to be so unaffected that he appears to be a fool to the ordinary people. He contains 1,000 errors yet conserves his primitive simplicity by staying one. Mevlana gives the example of the great Sufi master Bayazid Bistami, the great Sufi from the first era, when talking about how to reconcile the apparent existence of flesh and bones of the sage and divine light that manifests on him, and difficulty to distinguish the light that manifests in his worldly existence and the light of the heart. He explains this with a famous Nasreddin Hoca joke. Hoca's wife eats 1 kilogram meat, but blames the cat for having eaten it. Hoca waits the cat and sees that the cat is only 1 kilogram. Turning to his wife, he asks, if this is meat, where is the cat? Or else, if this is the cat, where is the meat? Mevlana says the following when relating this joke to the state of Bayazid to reach the state of Fena. If Bayazid is this, then what is that spirit? If he is that spirit, who is this appearance? The fact that Nisan has no feelings doesn't mean that he doesn't sense feelings like anger, joy, sadness, happiness. The only difference between him and layman is that although he experiences these feelings, there is a thing deep in his heart that stays unaffected by these feelings, and he is always conscious of this thing. Feelings pass by his heart just like the seasons are passing by the earth. Consequently, his conscience is always pleased with whatever state he might be in. Being pleased and content is another common feature of the ideal human in Taoism and the İnsan-ı of Sufism. In the Sufi tradition, the common target of all tarikats is to get the discipline to the state of Rıza, contentment. Rıza is the final stage in all the classifications that are devised since the early eras. For example, the Usul-i Aşere of Necmettin Kübra starts with Tevbe and ends with Rıza. Nothing befalling him can take him nefs-i mutmainne from being pleased with Allah. Many sages express this in their poetry. İbrahim Hakkı Erzurumi, another Sufi poet, says in this famous Tevfizname, "Don't you think that justice is cruelty? Be patient, don't think it is him. Surrender, don't burn in fire. Let us see what our master will do. Beautiful it is, whatever he will do." Yunus Emre, another great Turkish Sufi master, described this state as follows: "Pleasant is to be whatever that comes from you, be it a robe or a shirt, be it a fresh cut rose or a throne. Your breath is pleasant, so is your grace." A feature that separates layman from sacred human in Taoism, very similarly to Sufism, is that unlike İnsan-ı, laymen are deep in their desires and passions, but are very shallow in their spiritual adornment. In Taoism it is said, 5 colors get people blind, while 5 musical notes get people deaf. 5 tastes spoil palate. We see the same feature in Mevlana, although there is no historical or geographical connection whatsoever. The similarity in the expressions is peculiar. If you give up these drinks for a few days, you will taste the divine wine. And the similarity of the language being symbolic. A typical quality of Lao Tzu is his symbolic style to express his thoughts. He develops his thoughts that are crucial in his perspective and expresses them through descriptions. Sufis also have developed a particular symbolic language since the early periods. Mevlana explains this feature of the İnsan-ı by the example of Hazreti Süleyman, knowing the language of the birds. Yunus, another Sufi, explains this quality of the İnsan-ı as follows: "He who doesn't know the language of love is either a fool or a heretic. I know the language of the birds," Süleyman tells me. "I came with a what if, nobody knows my state, I tell and I listen to myself. Nobody knows my language. My language is that of the birds. My home is the city of the friend." Lao Tzu and Mevlana and other Sufis uses symbolism in expressing his thoughts. The symbols used exhibit a surprising similarity. The first one, baby symbol. Baby is an appropriate symbol for ideal human according to Lao Tzu. Layman's desires drive them to fight natural conditions. Their logic is busy planning to own things that they desire. Hence, their logics make them stiff and tough. However, the ideal human symbolizes the Taoist ideal that advises to be one with the nature and to be in harmony with the natural flow of things, without thinking, just like a baby does. So a baby is an appropriate symbol to describe the ideal woman. Mevlana thinks of the Sufi saints as babies in heart's lap. The baby is left on the ground when he grows up to be strong and have willpower, yet everybody misses his state when he was on the lap. The purpose of the Sufi journey is to teach people to have no will with his own will, to destroy his will in the will of Allah. This process is similar to a baby learning how to walk and after having left his parents' lap, gets back to heart's lap with his own desire. Hence, Mevlana describes the awliya as follows. Dear son, awliya is like the babies of heart. He is aware of their state both in his presence and in the unseen. Mevlana's description is reminiscent of the early Sufi master Şubesi's description. Abu Bakr Şubi describes awliya, Sufis are babies on heart's lap. And another similarity is the symbol effect of the language of state. Taoism, its state, sacred woman obeys the principle of man of action and peace without words. This principle in Taoism is similar to the following saying of famous Sufi Junaid al-Baghdadi about the sage. This sage state is always more important than his words. And another similarity between two thoughts, importance and priority of internal archaeology, the model of İnsan-ı in Taoism and Sufism realizes this model by turning towards inside him and towards his heart, not by turning towards the outside world and dividing into multitudes. This is expressed as follows in Taoism. It's possible to know whatever there is under the heaven without getting out the door. Rumi says in this subject, although you have a basket full of bread, you will run here and there to seek bread. The horseman is looking for his horse while riding it. If you ask him, what is that underneath you, he will say, a horse, but where is my horse? And another symbol of water. Water is another symbol of Lao Tzu. A similar situation is seen with Mevlana and Ibn Arabi. Lao Tzu uses the example of water while explaining the great power of Ademi Icraat, of ideal perfect woman. He says the following about this. There is nothing softer and weaker than water, yet nothing beats it in abating strong and tough things, because nothing can resist it nor dominate it. The symbol of water is used by early era Sufis, the saying of Junaid Baghdadi. The color of water is that of its container, لَوْنُ الْمَا كَلَوْنِ إِنَائِهِمْ, while explaining the manifestation of Haqq in the heart of the sage is an example of this. Ibn Arabi thinks that the penetration of Haqq to all beings is similar to the penetration of water to things. He explains that the water in the verse, we have brought down water from the sky, Ra'd 17 verse, is used as a symbol to describe the state of İnsan-ı and the Prophet of Islam. Mevlana uses the symbol of the sea as the spiritual principle and the source of life of humans. For Lao Tzu, water is one of the most appropriate face of the way, Tao, and hints that of İnsan-ı due to this soft power that it has. The expression, may you be as exalted as water, in Turkish language is a prayer, and in reality points to the level of ideal and perfection of the woman. May you be exalted as water. Thank you very much.
thank you very much, Professor Osman Nuri Küçük, for a very interesting paper.